Thorbs means using orbs and wall thorns to kill bosses. Thorbs is a late game strategy, so to use it properly, it's recommended to be a glass cannon build. While you don't actually have to be a glass cannon build, you need to at least be able to have the ability to take no damage from non-boss enemies. The main tools which help you with this are having a 100% uptime chrono field and a good attack speed lab. I would recommend at least level 80. You also need the wall unlocked and some of its labs well developed. For the wall rebuild lab, you will need a minimum of lab level 2 for milestone runs, and a lab level 9 for tournaments. Exactly 9, not higher. Wall rebuild lab 9 allows you to use free upgrades in tournaments while still being able to kill bosses with Thorbs. You will want at least wall thorns lab level 12. Higher is better for this lab, whatever you are willing to invest time or gem wise. You will want to max the wall invincibility lab, which maxes at lab level 10. Start researching this once you have wall thorns at a decent level, or else the wall can be more harmful than helpful in your runs. You also need 3 energy shield charges, and the orb boss hit lab maxed. There are a few extremely helpful tools, which are technically not required, but will help you immensely. The first of which is inner landmines. You will want all of the labs maxed to stun the boss, while preventing damage from other enemies behind the boss, and allowing the boss to be stalled for longer if the boss was early. Another tool is a 100% uptime chrono field. This one is most likely required, but it is probably possible to do without it if you are a near maxed player. The cards that you must have in your card preset are Attack Speed, Slow Aura, Extra Orbs, Plasma Cannon, Energy Net, Second Wind, Demon Mode, and Energy Shield. The cards you should not use are Enemy Balance, Wave Skip, Wave Accelerator, Free Upgrades, and Range. While Death Ray and Landmine Stun are not required, they will be very useful in preventing non-boss damage, and are highly recommended. Any other cards won't affect how effective your Thorbs are, but some like Damage and Critical Chance will help you kill bosses further into a run, allowing you to rely on Thorbs for less time, and therefore reducing the randomness. Most perks don't change anything, but there are a few that are very helpful. You will want to take the minus enemy speed plus enemy damage trade-off perk. You will only want to take this perk when your wall is built, not when it's rebuilding, because it will mess up the wall rebuild timing for the next boss. You can also take the Chrono Field range perk, but the same rule applies. You also want to take the orb perks. More orbs means more orb hits. The perks you should not take are the minus boss health plus boss speed trade-off perk, and the inner landmine extra set of mines perk. You want the bosses to be as slow as possible for more orb hits, so increasing the speed is not ideal. The most important thing is do not take the inner landmine perk. Taking it will stun the boss while it is on the wall, causing it to be stunned instead of hitting the wall for thorns damage while the wall is invincible. For ultimate weapons, like I said, inner landmines is extremely useful, and Thorbs will be hard without it. If possible, you want to leave Black Hole turned on. You'll need even better crowd control than the minimum requirements, but it is really helpful, because Black Hole damage is the only real way to kill protectors when the enemy health is at extremely high numbers. They will die eventually, but having 12 protectors at the same time can be deadly if a large number of enemies gets behind a boss. Even though Poison Swamp can make boss timing more inconsistent than it already is, it is recommended to keep it on, because it can allow you to get more orb hits on a boss, and will stun enemies, making your crowd control stronger. All bosses will likely be stunned a few times, so it should not mess up the timing that much. I don't have Poison Swamp, so I don't have an opinion on it for Thorbs. The wall rebuild you will want to use for milestone runs is either 588 or 586 seconds. Many people say 586 is more consistent overall, but 588 is still good if you have inner landmines. If you don't have inner landmines, use 586. I personally use 588 and it works great for me. You can't use free upgrades for milestone runs using Thorbs, so make sure they're all at 0% in your workshop. The range you will want to use is between lab level 15 and lab level 25, which is between 90.35 and 104.25 meters when maxed in the run. This range puts your workshop orbs in line with where the boss gets hit by Energy Net in later waves, allowing more orb hits. Do not use the range card. You will want your extra orbs positioned as close to your range line as possible to help kill enemies being juggled by your tower, and to also allow them to hit the boss while stuck in the Energy Net. For range line 15, or 90.35 meters, I would position them at 90 meters. And for range life 25, or 104.25 meters, I would position them at 105 meters. You can figure out what is the closest if you decide to use a range in between these two. You have to use a range this high because of how the wall works. The higher your range is, the farther out the wall will be from your tower. If you use a range which is too low, your inner landmines will be sticking out of the wall, which will make Thorbs not work because they will stun the boss when it is on the wall. There are a few exceptions to all of these requirements. You can use wave skip at the start of a run, while you can still kill the boss, which won't affect you in later waves if you take it off. Wave skip will be harmful if you use it when you can no longer kill bosses, so make sure to take it off before then. It is also possible to use wave accelerator. The correct wall rebuild time, if you use it, is 504 seconds. This is problematic for a few reasons. You'll need to research your wall rebuild lab to level 10 instead of level 9, which will make your Thorbs and tournaments very inconsistent. It is still possible, but 510 will work much better. Using Wave Accelerator will also give you less time to recharge energy shield charges between bosses. Using Wave Accelerator will allow you to recharge around 66% of a charge, compared to 75% without it. This will make it more likely you will get unlucky and die earlier than you would like. To truly understand how Thorbs works, you need to start by thinking about how Energy Shield itself works. This is your main tool, and Thorbs wouldn't be possible without it. In exactly 10 waves of a normal run, without Wave Accelerator or Wave Skip, Energy Shield recharges about 75% of a charge. I think this number is slightly high compared to what it actually is, but it is close enough. As an example, let's say on wave 500, you have 3 energy shield charges, and the boss comes and hits you. You now have 2 charges, with the last one recharging. At wave 510, you should have those 2 charges and 75% of a third charge, as long as you didn't take any other damage. The wave 510 boss also hits you, leaving you at 1 charge and 75% of the second charge. By wave 520, you should be at 2 charges with 50% of a third charge. If this pattern continues, you will finally die at wave 590 with only 75% of a charge left. This alone allows you to get through 9 bosses and dead on the 10th boss. In a real run, I think you will be able to survive 8 hits from bosses and die in the 9th, because the charge time in 10 waves is slightly less than 75%. In tournaments, this number will be closer to 66%, or 2/3 of a charge every 10 waves, because the time between waves is shorter. This makes it more likely to get bad RNG and die. It is also more likely to take damage from non-boss enemies in tournaments, so Thorbs will not work as well, but it will still help you get much farther with easy battle conditions. Surviving 8 hits from bosses is a good amount on its own, but we have a few more defenses than just Energy Shield. The first is Death Defy. At max level, you have a 30% chance to ignore a killing hit. The game rolls this before using an energy shield charge, so every time a boss hits you, you have a 30% chance of keeping the energy shield charge, which will at minimum get you 30 more waves alone. This is good, but doesn't really allow for very long runs, and it is still very easy to get bad RNG and die. Adding on to these is Thorbs itself. The maximum potential of Thorbs is killing 1 in every 3 bosses, without the risk of losing an energy shield charge. In reality, this won't happen because of the boss spawn times, which were changed to happen at random times during the wave. This change was made because of Thorbs. Some people were able to get higher than 13,000 waves in Tier 13 because of the fixed spawn time on bosses. Thorbs can usually have a chance to save an energy shield charge every 30 waves. For example, if on wave 500 the boss breaks your wall, it will take around 20 waves to rebuild, allowing you to have a chance for the boss at wave 520 to start hitting the wall right when it rebuilds, killing the boss with a wall of thorns, because the wall is invincible for 10 seconds. The wall will then be broken by the next boss at wave 530, and so on. Every once in a while, the boss can be too late and break the wall with its last percentage of its health, killing itself and the wall. This seems like it would mess up the timing for the boss in 20 waves, but from my experience, it doesn't really change anything, and can be helpful by allowing you to save an energy shield charge earlier. The ideal Thorbs looks like this. Plasma Cannon deals 54% of the boss's health, leaving it with 46% health. Your orbs will also deal at least 16% of its health, and more often than not, higher than that, leaving it with at most 30% of its health. The rest of your damage will come from wall thorns. With wall thorns 12, the boss will need to hit the wall 5 times to die. Because thorns on bosses are halved, it will deal 6% per hit. You will only need 3 hits with wall thorns 20, and 4 hits for a lot of the wall thorns levels in between. These two factors allowing you to save energy shield charges will help you get very far, but there will be a point where you get unlucky, or you take damage from non-boss enemies. This is where Demon Mode and Second Wind come in. They will be your backup plan if things go wrong. You can't do anything to help Second Wind do its job. It will simply save you from death once, and allow you to have an energy shield charge for the next boss. There are a few ways you can help Demon Mode. You will want to use it right before a boss hits you, when you don't have any energy shield charges, and if possible, use it when your wall is already built. Sometimes this won't be possible, so use it if you're forced to when the wall is building. You want the wall to be built because you'll put the wave skip card on here and try to get 2 wave skips. With 2 wave skips, Demon Mode can deal with a second boss for you, compared to only 1 boss without doing this. Sometimes you won't get 2 wave skips, and you won't be able to have Demon Mode for a second boss. It is all luck. If you use wave skip when the wall is rebuilding, it will mess up the timing. It is possible to get 2 bosses in Demon Mode with only 1 wave skip, but it is very inconsistent, as you'll need a late boss spawn when you use it, and an early boss next. 2 wave skips will guarantee you 2 bosses during Demon Mode if you use it at the right time. My personal preferences, which I use in the background video, is range lab 25 or 104.25 meters, extra orbs at 105 meters, and wall rebuild 588. If you have trouble thorning bosses with 588, try 586. Many people prefer 586 and say it works better for them. That is pretty much everything you need to know about Thorbs and how to use it effectively. Watch the background footage to see everything I talked about in action. I will also put 2 text documents in the description, one being the script for this video if you want to translate it to understand it easier, or to better understand the strategy, or for any other reason. The other text document being key moments in the background footage like losing energy shields, death device, successful Thorbs, and more. Thank you for watching. I hope you learned something. Let me know in the comments if I got something wrong or if I missed anything.